Now, the Dragon Ball fandom has been on the fence literally talking about jack shit now that Super ended. We got an unwanted Dragon Ball Heroes game that'll be here whenever the fuck we get it. We have Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, a game that's doing super well and I'd prefer over Fighter Z. But then it hit us. The new Broly movie. A potentially good movie that I hope Toei doesn't fuck over. Now, it's obvious Toei is animating this bad boy. Toei typically animates anything Shonen Jump related, but they usually do. They usually do non-Shonen Jump related titles such as Evangelion, Love Complex, and the holy grail we call Air Gear. But all in all, they're a terrific animation studio right up there with Studio Ghibli and Studio Shaft. Both terrific animation studios, and you should really go watch the stuff they animate. But at the same time, I could also see this being animated by Studio Gonzo, but I'm pretty sure you all disagree because you all are fuckwads. You can hardly find any inconsistencies with their animation. The animation is smooth and clean, and I just absolutely love what they did with Broly's look. Like a dirty, angry barbarian. A lot of people were unsatisfied with Ultra Instinct not being in this film, which was one of the most dumbest and plot-ridden transformations in the series that I happen to dislike the most out of all, because you know, Super Saiyan is the best transformation in my opinion, and it looks the coolest. Toei Animation pretty much bagged all the viewers the first day the trailer came out. Akira Toriyama himself is going to be doing the screenplay, while Tatsuya Nagami is the director of this movie, and the most notable work that he has done is Saint Seiya Omega, which is actually really good. I really want you all to go watch that. Like, on all seriousness, go watch Saint Seiya Omega. It's all good. Just go watch it. Stop this video and go watch it. Like right now. So as a whole, you can expect nothing less but great material in the story. That also meaning that this is 100% canon into the series, and it plays a big plot within the actual storyline of the series. But with all that being said, the movie is just right down amazing, and I haven't even watched it because I have no money to go see it, and I don't want to fucking pirate the movie. So don't sell me out to anybody, okay? But I can't expect nothing less than a fantastic product. I forgot to mention that Kazuo Ogra is the art director. You can see a lot of his fucking amazing hit series that he's worked on, such as Blood Sea, Fullmetal Alchemist, The Conqueror of Shambhala, and Zombieland Saga. We can see Ogra's hit art direction in this film. By just looking at the trailer, the animation is reminiscent to the second Fullmetal Alchemist movie. Despite the clean animation, the effects are just to be utterly fucked with, because, oh boy, Naotake Oda, oh boy, did a great job on those effects because they look real good. They look super good. All of that being said, the film altogether looks extremely good. You can really see all of that just previous Broly film feel to the entire just shit. You can get non-Broly vibes off of this because it's such a hit film. Because, you know, it's not like Fusion Reborn. Now, this movie isn't exactly maybe one of their most biggest projects like Revival of F, but you can really see that this is a giant step into Toei Animation's everything when it comes down to Dragon Ball Z, especially Akira Toriyama, because, you know, we haven't really seen him do a lot of stuff where we hear from him. At least I haven't heard from him when it comes to certain things. But once I watched Revival of F and Battle of Gods, I didn't really expect there to be another Dragon Ball Z film. But besides to see Toei Animation animating the Dragon Ball Heroes stuff, with them coming out the Dragon Ball Heroes game and the Dragon Ball Heroes fucking everything Dragon Ball Heroes related, I didn't expect that there would be a Broly film, because, you know, Broly's one of the most underrated characters in the series, but one of the most loved characters, at least one of the most anticipated characters in my eyes. But Broly altogether is a terrific character for Toei Animation to really be going over and covering in a whole 1 hour film. But the movie hasn't released, and I haven't watched it, like I said earlier, because I don't have money and I'm a broke 17-year-old. But all that being said, you can really just see that this is one step into a new era for Toei Animation. And there's no really drastic character design. I mean, Goku's still wearing the same getup he's been wearing for like 20-30 years now. I don't fucking know. Vegeta's been wearing the same getup he's been wearing for 20-30 years now. But one thing I'm actually really upset about is that, I mean, I would really love to see Gohan in this film, or even any other character, or just a new addition to the series, let alone, I would have loved to see Hit, maybe Caulifla and Kale. That would have been cool. Piccolo. Anyone would have been fine for this film, as long as they were just added in just to get their ass beat by Broly. This movie is utterly fantastic, and no one can say otherwise. The way they took the time and delicacy with the movie is splendid, not at all in the slightest rush or even done wrong. You can really not only tell from the improvement of their other past films, even with Revival of F, the Dragon Ball series has always been a personal favorite of mine, even though I think it's a bit milk, and I can hardly see any of their films being disliked by any of them. One film I personally dislike is the Turles movie, because just kind of sucked, and I didn't get why he had to come to Earth and sprout a tree on Earth's crust. But really, this film is spectacular, and the other previous films are also great. But you can really see the heart, soul, and dedication into this film with the animation when the song plays in the trailer. The story is just heavenly from what I've read. This movie just reminds me of how much I truly loved Broly, and the plot is honestly really good. Instead of Broly just being, you know, a severe PTSD-ridden fuckwad, he's just an animal due to the environment he grew up in this movie, which the only way to make him a complete and utter savage. Now, where does this movie stand for me? It's a clear second, while Path of Power is a clear first. Path of Power summed up the entirety of the Dragon Ball series in just one movie, which made it just even better. The animation was fantastic, I felt like a child again. But that's where most anime movies kind of fall. Most movies like BNHA, Two Heroes, Howl's Moving Castle, and Garden of Words all have that perfect balance of being unforgettable, but also being visually appealing. Quick warning, this contains spoilers of the movie and the plot of the movie, so before you continue watching this video, I just want you all to know that this contains spoilers of the movie's plot. So if you don't really care, continue watching. If you do, don't. Just actually, as a matter of fact, if you do care, leave the fucking video. I don't care about the views. This movie is set after the events of Dragon Ball Super after the Tournament of Power. While Vegeta was attempting to be better than Goku, they noticed that Frieza has 6 of the Dragon Balls. Ready to go to start a new journey, Bulma, Goku, and Vegeta eventually set off with Frieza. On the contrary, is chatting up with Broly and Paragus so he could literally get off for oven baking their planet so Vegeta and Goku could beat his ass. This plot isn't too deep or too vague, but it's rather simple, taking the loved idea of searching for Dragon Balls and the perfect balance of fights that we see in the series since I don't know when. Essentially, the plot differs from the other ones, what makes it a bit more fresh material for Dragon Ball fans. No other characters are really in the movie in the spotlight, unlike Frieza's alien ass, except Goku, Vegeta, and Broly, which kinda sucks. I want to see Broly utterly demolish the other Z fighters, like Goten and Trunks included, where I think this movie lacks, because, you know, good old child abuse and beating women. But that's perfectly fine, because the choreography of the movie is just magnificent. Like, where do you get this shit from? Kung Fu movies? I can't argue that the plot is perfect with the Broly himself, because this is a perfect way to make Broly who he is. This is a mirror of the previous Broly movie that just didn't make any damn sense at all. But with all that being said, it balances out the previous movie, giving us the information on Broly we never had, a character that everyone pretty much loves to death, a character that was left in the dust with all the other villains, and a character we all care to remember. The movie can give off a feel of heart-racing action and blood-pumping suspense, sitting in your seat wondering if Goku will triumph against the person he's fighting, which happens to be his new foe. The feeling we all missed and loved in the Dragon Ball series, and at least me, can't really speak for you lazy fucks at all, with all the prior movies usually being some bad guy doing some bad thing to Earth, which whole entitles Goku, stop them. With this Broly movie, it's different because it's all centered around one person, that being Broly and Broly alone. This isn't for some sick non-canon bullshit, some piss poor Goku lookalike that's just shitting on Earth to sprout a fucking Yggdrasil on fucking crust. As a whole, this movie is beautiful, and I haven't watched it yet. Just from seeing the trailers and the previews, I can already as a whole, the movie is beautiful, and I haven't watched it yet. Just from seeing these trailers and previews, I can already be sat in my seat wondering what'll happen next. Like I said earlier, the plot isn't too vague or too deep, but it's simple, and this movie doesn't really focus on beating up bad guys, but this movie really focuses on Broly, which I can kind of see having a bit of a tragic story to it, because we see in the trailers that we see a kid Broly eating alien egg, but we don't really see him interacting with anyone else but the said aliens on said planet, and we have Paragus trying to shape and mold Broly into an animal so he can get revenge on Frieza for what happened to Planet Vegeta. I can't really digress about what I see in the plot or anything else, just for the sheer fact that this is a pretty much heart-wrenching plot, and I want to see it super bad so I can get some more clarification on what I'm looking at. Now, I'm pretty sure that you people all know that, you know, Broly has always been an animalistic person, but as I stated earlier, this isn't from how Broly is now, this is how he is progressively. He didn't get shaped into this, he was forced into this. He didn't shape himself. He was more so forced to be the person he is now. A lot of people, including myself, could see Broly, if he wasn't forced into that personality or persona he's in, could see him being a lot like more Goku, a lot more happy or gentle, or see him being a lot more like Kale, calm, reserved, but having a little knack for fighting. that being said, I will move on to how I feel about this next iteration of Broly. Now, this version of Broly isn't exactly my favorite, but I can appreciate it. Approaching the fact that Broly finally plays a role into the Dragon Ball universe, the Broly in the prior movie is also a likable counterpart in a couple of people, but since Broly is a tortured soul, we can only really see the little human he has left in him. I mean, this version of Broly isn't a fucking twink without nap time, but I like that twink without nap time, and I also like this version of Broly that isn't a twink without nap time. So, all that being said, this is Velvet Groove, and I'm signing out.